Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. It's our Black Friday sale. Recharge this season with a bundle of cozy, soothing comfort. Now only $17.99 for our C2 mattress and base, plus free premium delivery. Prices higher in Alaska and Hawaii. Check it out at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com today.
AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's ride!
Hour 3. Off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
You're a loser, Matt.
Shut up, kid. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
So. And Mr. Toby Tumpley. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you are driving home with us on a busy day as the coaching carousel is spinning. If you're just knocking off work, jumping in the car, you haven't heard earlier today at LouisianaSports.net, we reported Lane Kiffin's ex-wife, Layla Kiffin, in Baton Rouge today, touring the city. She was, according to multiple reports out of Oxford and other places, in Gainesville a day ago. The important caveat to note there, Layla Kiffin attended the University of Florida. Her dad, John Reeves, her maiden name is Reeves. Her dad, John Reeves, played quarterback at the University of Florida, beloved figure there. So I'm sure she knows the city well. But was there a day ago in Baton Rouge today, shortly before noon. This is what we know as of now. Shortly before around noon, she flew into Baton Rouge. The plane is at the MMR hangar at the private airport in North Baton Rouge. Michael Cobble of WBRZ has pictures and photos on his Twitter of the plane and things there. No word officially on who else was on the plane. I have been told that it's family. I'm not comfortable yet disclosing who. What I was told is not the Kiffin children. Their son, Knox Kiffin, is a sophomore at Oxford High, and they're preparing for a playoff game this week, so he's in school. Their middle child, Presley, is a volleyball player at Southern Cal, so she's out in California. And, of course, I think everyone knows Landry Kiffin, who's dating Whit Weeks, is enrolled at Ole Miss, and they're in school right now. So it was not the Kiffin children accompanying Layla Kiffin today to Baton Rouge, as I understand it. So, but it was an opportunity, apparently, to see Baton Rouge. So, for something other than a quick trip in to play a football game and leave. So, we'll see how that, if we get any reports, how that went and what the decision may be. So that's one part of the day today. And then amid those reports that a day ago, Layla Kiffin was in Gainesville and today in Baton Rouge, Stuart Mandel is reporting that Keith Carter, the AD at Ole Miss, has given Lane Kiffin an ultimatum deadline of November the 28th, the day of the Egg Bowl, to decide if he's staying at Ole Miss or if he's accepting either the Florida or the LSU job. Fascinating as this continues to evolve. And for whatever it's worth, I just got into my inbox updated odds. And you take these odds for whatever they're worth. Remember the last time we saw these odds, Nick Saban was the betting favorite. So again, take them for what they're worth. Jimmy has said it so many times. This is the thing that odds makers are the worst at, trying to predict coaches. The but this is from Bet Online. The latest odds that they have out. Kenny Dillingham is the new favorite to be the LSU coach. He went from 20-1 to 3-1. Marcus Freeman jumped up from 28-1 to 10-1. Eli Drinkwitz 25-1 up to 12-1. Jimbo Fisher plummeted. Matt Campbell off the board. So Kenny Dillingham, then Nick Saban, then John Sumrall, then Joe Brady. Those are your top four. Then Lane Kiffin, fifth with the same odds as Dan Lanning. So thinking the Bet Online folks that Kiffin a little bit of a longer shot here. I don't know, man. You send your ex-wife, who they've reconciled, by the way. If you don't know that story, they divorced in 2016. They've since reconciled. But to Baton Rouge on a fact-finding mission, there is the way I've said it, real and sincere mutual interest between LSU and Lane Kiffin. And Ole Miss knows it, and they want an answer, and they'll get to an answer pretty soon here. All right, it is After Further Review. We're glad to have you aboard with us here. Monday shows are brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Windows door siding. Oh, yeah, they do shutters too at Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. What a time. There aren't many stories that could take your starter being injured, your backup starting in the game, your only other scholarship quarterback taking a leave from the team, and that becomes like page 7 news. But this coaching carousel, the Kiffin stuff today, has obviously dominated the news and the headlines, but it is really significant what's happened. So I know over at LouisianaSports.net, we reported it on Saturday, confirmed through LSU, that Colin Hurley has taken an indefinite leave from the LSU football team. Frank Wilson was not asked about it in the postgame. Now, Hurley did not travel with the team to Alabama. Emil Picarella made the travel roster as the third quarterback. You're not going to travel 4 quarterbacks. Remember, travel rosters in the SEC are limited. So you weren't going to travel 4 quarterbacks. Picarella traveled in place of Hurley. So they traveled Nussmeier, Van Buren, and Picarella were their 3 quarterbacks that traveled to Alabama last week. And then on Saturday, the news broke about Hurley. Today, Monday, here was what Frank Wilson had to say. I asked him if Colin Hurley's absence was temporary or if this was he permanently leaving the program?
He took a leave of personal related matters. It is temporary right now at this time.
So temporary, but indefinite here for Colin Hurley. I do not have anything more to add as of right now as to why he's taking this indefinite leave, but it has been a really challenging year for Colin Hurley. We all know the story. Shortly after the bowl game, he was injured in a very serious car wreck. He was, as we reported, put into a medically induced coma. First, they wondered if he was going to live. When that became clear that he would survive, it was, would he walk again? Would he have a normal life again? Then would he play football again? And so he went home to the Jacksonville area and rehabbed and surprised everyone at the LSU spring scrimmage when he showed up. Now, obviously, he didn't participate at all in spring and football activities, but was there, which was great to see. And certainly his teammates and coaches, there was a lot of joy and a great sign of relief there as well. And then to the surprise of many, Colin Hurley was ready to go for fall camp, and he participated in fall camp and has been with the team all year. Has not played yet this season, but has been with the team all year until now before the Alabama game when he took this this indefinite leave. So there's 2 ways to look at it. It's the immediacy of the quarterback position and then also the long-term future at quarterback for LSU. The immediacy, and this is another thing that Frank was asked on Monday, is do they have a contingency plan? Because remember, if Nussmeier can't dress again this week and you don't have Hurley for the game, so what's your plan at quarterback against Western Kentucky?
You know, we got a guy that went through the entire spring with us and Juwan Johnson at quarterback, all the way into fall camp, who we've been constantly still working as Garrett's injury started to reveal itself even more, to have an emergency plan. And we feel confident about that. We feel confident about Emil being able to step in and get us out of the game if we needed to do so. So we have a contingency plan that we feel confident in.
We've talked plenty about Juwan Johnson ever since he's been sort of on again, off again at quarterback. Of course, during his time at Lafayette Christian, set Louisiana high school records with more than 14,000 total yards and 171 touchdowns. Probably not an SEC quarterback just because of his size, but an amazing athlete who certainly can play quarterback. Emil Picarella is... We talked about Emil plenty. And Emil sat in our studio when he committed to LSU as a preferred walk-on and had a great convo with him. But the interesting thing about Emil is during his junior year at U-High, like early in the 2025 recruitment cycle, he was a top 10 quarterback nationally. Like he was a top 10 national blue chip guy. And you go look at his recruiting profile. I mean, he had offers from major programs, SEC, Big Ten programs, that as he went into his senior year, that interest waned. And so his ranking dropped, his star rating dropped to a 3-star, and he still had FBS offers, just smaller school offers, and ultimately decided to pass on those to take a preferred walk-on opportunity at LSU. His parents are LSU alums. They love LSU. So went to school on campus. So Picarella, I trust me, I'm not saying that I'm eager to see a freshman walk-on play for LSU this weekend. But I think Emil is one of those guys, 6'2", 215, good size, arm strength, all that stuff, who at one point was a very highly sought-after quarterback who had major Power 4 interest. I'd be fascinated to see what year 2, 3 could look like for Emil Picarella if he stays and develops, sort of thing. He could be one of those guys that, had he taken the smaller school opportunity, maybe plays for a couple years and then gets the Power 4 opportunity out of the portal. But who knows how this may play. But that's what Frank is saying there is the opportunity here as they move forward. And then he was asked point blank if Garrett Nussmeier would dress this week for the game against Western Kentucky, and Frank was non-committal.
I know he's going to want to. We're going to defer to our medical staff, our trainers, our doctors, to do what's best for him. If there's any way that he can, I know he's going to want to do so, but I don't have those answers just yet. Okay,
so there is Frank Wilson on the quarterback situation, something we will continue to follow. All right, it is After Further Review. We're brought to you by Our Lady of the Lake, championship health partner of LSU Athletics. OLOLRMC.com/LSU is where you can learn more about their championship health partnership with LSU Athletics and the many, many, many ways that Our Lady of the Lake gives back and continues to help expand healthcare in our area. OLOLRMC.com/LSU if you want to learn more. It's not just about athletics and sports medicine, but also the Student Health Center and the amazing research and academic excellence where they're innovating for today, educating for tomorrow, reshaping Louisiana's health future. It's Our Lady of the Lake. You want to go see some amazing stories? They call them stories that inspire. You can go to the website, OLOLRMC.com/LSU, and you scroll down. You'll see Kim Mulkey's heart health story. Of course, we know that she went through a heart scare a couple of years ago. Her story is there if you want to learn more about it. There's so many ways that you could learn about the way that they care, virtual visits, extended hours online, how you could schedule online, same-day appointments. It's all there for you at Our Lady of the Lake, championship health partner of LSU Athletics, OLOLRMC.com/LSU. Our Lady of the Lake and LSU, together, we roar. Okay, I just got this confirmed. We're going to call Neal McCready when we come back. So Neal McCready covers Ole Miss, does a great job. I texted him. He's available. I want to get the Ole Miss perspective on the Lane Kiffin story. What are they saying in Oxford today? We're going there next. It's AFR.
AFR.
We had a little bit of an uptick as temps on Sunday got up to 80 degrees. That was like a record high. But we've already tasted the 30s. And you know the freezing temps are going to be back any day. All right, maybe not any day, so look at the calendar. Thank goodness. It's actually going to be in the 80s this week. But that reprieve means it's a great opportunity to call River City's 1 Hour Air. 752-0001, 752-0001, 752-0001. Make sure you call, get that heater safety check, and you'll always get great service. Kevin Hill left this 5-star Google review. Cole, the technician, was very upfront, got right to work. Talked me through everything. He was able to communicate thoroughly with me and not just try to sell. We definitely recommend River City's 1 Hour Air. Another 5-star Google review. I tell you all the time, they're not going to upsell you. They're going to give you your good, better, and best options and let you choose what's best for your budget and your family in that moment. It's River City's 1 Hour Air, 752-0001, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. And oh, we do shutters too.
I love what we're doing here. Today was awesome, and I don't talk about that stuff. And really, to even talk about it right now would be so disrespectful to our players and how well they played today. So, you know, we got a lot of things going here, doing really well, and I love it here.
Lane Kiffin made a lot of people in Oxford uncomfortable with that answer on Saturday when asked point blank if he expected to be the Ole Miss coach next year. Neal McCready was there. Yeah, I think he actually asked the question just before that. He's with us now. Neal, always appreciated. I know I know how it goes this time of year. Thank you for the time. How are you?
I'm good, Matt. Good to be with you.
Thank you. Okay, you were sitting there in that press conference. You cover this team. You cover this coach. Please describe what Saturday was like there in that post game.
Well, just for context, you know, they had just beaten Florida to get to 10-1. Probably punched their ticket to the college football playoff a year after a really disappointing failure to make the same playoff. Record crowd at Vaught Hemingway, electric, probably the best atmosphere I've experienced there. I've been on the beat 18 years. Probably a couple of games that come close to that, but it was really they had it going. It was a weird press conference. Started weird, ended weird, stayed weird. I asked him, "Hey, do you think this punches your ticket to the playoffs?" And he just didn't even answer it. He kind of went off in a different world, and I was like, "Oh, this is going differently." And then Michael Katz, sitting next to me, asked that question that he just answered, and I think at that point, people like me who knew a lot of what was going on, in the background, knew that Florida was very real, knew that LSU was becoming very real. I think it raised flags, it raised antennas, and sure enough, I mean, it sort of took a lot of the steam out of that game. I think for a lot of Ole Miss fans, because they realized that this is a little bit more of a crisis maybe than they had thought, and here we are on Monday afternoon, some 48 hours after that game, not even 48 hours after that game, and Lane's family has been to Gainesville. It's now been to Baton Rouge, and there's a report that's out that we kind of hinted at this morning on our site and on our podcast about people using the word ultimatum. And I don't know if that's the right word. It's really close if it's not the right word. Ole Miss is going to demand an answer, and if they don't get the answer that they're looking for, I think they've got two decisions to make. One, they've got to start a search. Mm-hmm. They've already started it, but they've got to launch a search, like a hard launch, And what are the kids when the kids announce a relationship? It's a hard launch.
Right.
I think they've got to kind of hard launch a little bit on that if they do it, and then they've got to decide what do you do in this era where everyone's a prospective free agent at the end of the season. What do you do about a sitting head coach who is in your building, who you believe has agreed to terms to be somebody else's head coach? And both LSU and Florida are on Ole Miss's schedule next year.
So just to clarify, there's some particulars I want to ask, but just to clarify that point, Stuart Mandel's report, I know you said that you all had mentioned it at your site and on your podcast. Do you believe that Lane Kiffin would coach the report that he would not be allowed, or he needs to give them an answer by the Egg Bowl? So what does that mean, Neal, that they wouldn't allow him to coach the Egg Bowl?
I'm not really sure about the Egg Bowl. The part that I feel very confident about is that if he has not agreed to some sort of an extension at Ole Miss, he's not going to coach in the playoffs.
Okay.
I don't know about the Egg Bowl. It's a little early for that. And let me be clear. as of this morning, and maybe something has changed, but as of this morning, I feel very confident in saying Lane Kiffin had not made a decision and was not very close to a decision. I said last week that I thought Lane Kiffin was torn, Matt, and I do believe Lane Kiffin is torn. And here's where that tear is. He's been at Ole Miss for 6 years. They are the first year was the COVID year. Since then, starting in 2021, if they beat Mississippi State on Black Friday, that's 50 wins in 5 years. I'll let you do the research on how many other SEC teams have pulled that off. I'll give you a hint. It's two.
Yeah.
And had this current format been the format, this would be their third playoff appearance in 5 years. He's done a phenomenal job. It was a very bad job when he got it. It's a really good job now. They'll pay him whatever he wants for the most part. They're giving him whatever he wants, but it's been hard. He's always been a guy who talks about blue blood jobs and that kind of thing. And here we are with what I believe, and you can feel free to correct me. I think people are going to dance around the word offer, but let's be real. If Lane Kiffin told LSU today, "I want your job," he'd get it.
Absolutely.
If he told LSU, Florida today, "I want your job," he'd get it. Obviously, Ole Miss wants to keep him. So he's in this weird spot where you've got to make a decision, and everything, I think, tells him to make a long-term decision. I don't know what that decision would be, but a long-term decision. And yet, if that decision is not Ole Miss, here's this team that he led to the playoffs, and he doesn't get to coach that playoff, which it would be brutally disappointing for him. And let's be real, here's a guy who has spent a lot of time both genuinely, organically, and also, he's been orchestrated, rebuilding his image. And I'm not sure how he would be viewed nationally. Now, I don't know that matters. If he got the LSU job, LSU people are going to love him. If he gets the Florida job, same thing. Mm-hmm. But nationally, he's going to get beat up if he walks away from a playoff team that, has a real chance to advance in the playoffs. This is not the North Texas coach going, "Yeah, I got the job offer at Missouri, I'm going." This is the Ole Miss coach potentially walking away to another SEC team that he just beat this year.
Yeah,
he beat LSU, he beat Florida. It's a weird look, and I think I told you this. I'm not Dan Wilkins' biggest fan, but he wrote a column last week. I'll give credit where it's due. The NCAA calendar, college football has gone to a professional model, and they're stuck with an amateur calendar. And at some point, people are going to have to fix this. This is not a good look for the sport either.
Yeah. There's no question about that. We were talking about that a little last hour, Neal. Just I don't know how you do that with the fact that they still have class and school and all that stuff, but that's another convo for a different day. Neal McCready's with us. Rebels 247. What a great time to go find his site if you're not familiar with it yet, and the podcast as well. Before I go any further in the particulars, what is the mood like in and around Oxford in this program?
I think there's two things. One, there's frustration, right? This team, this fan base is. They've done everything that they've been asked. They've raised tons of NIL. They've supported. There was a massive crowd the other night. The environment was fantastic. And, they loved it. They love this guy. They support the program and all that stuff. And here they are, 10-1. They won at Oklahoma. They beat LSU at home. They beat Tulane. The one loss is a one-score loss at Georgia. In a game where they led in the fourth quarter, and Kewan Lacey's had a phenomenal year, and Trinidad Chambliss is one of the best stories in the sport. And, all of the oxygen is sucked out of the room by this, right? And, and I think anybody who doesn't have empathy for how that fan base feels right now isn't being honest. If this were happening to your fan base, whoever your fan base is, you'd be kind of sick, right? This is not the way it's supposed to feel. It should feel jubilant, and right now, and they've really not had any opportunity to sort of really enjoy what's happening. And then I think there's frustration, like what what does he want? If they feel like they've given him everything and it's not enough. And, you know, I mean, he made a comment the other night, and I think he meant it in jest. It fell flat. He was asked about the crowd. Was this a blue blood crowd? Lane talks about blue bloods here lately a lot, which I think should have raised people's antenna. It certainly raised mine. And his answer was, yeah, it was tonight, but were you here last week? Referring to the game against the Citadel. And people were like, oh, my God, really? And it just, you know, it really irritated people. And, you know, Lane's taking some heat. Whether it's justified or not is probably it's a subjective thing for sort of trolling his own fan base. I think if you followed him on social media on Friday and Saturday, you thought he was hinting at staying. There were some rumors, not his fault that they were, but there were, that an announcement was coming one way or the other, perhaps as early as Saturday, and obviously no announcement came. So, long-winded answer, Matt, but in a word, it's probably frustration. And you shouldn't be frustrated when your team is 10-1, a double-digit favorite in a rivalry game coming up on Black Friday with a playoff berth basically cinched. You should not be feeling frustrated. You should be feeling excited.
Neal, do you think today's news, Lane Kiffin visiting Baton Rouge, the report of we'll just use the term ultimatum, do you think this expedites Lane Kiffin's decision, so as to say it comes before the Egg Bowl?
My sourcing kind of leans that way. My common sense says, yeah, right? I mean, at some point, if you're Ole Miss, you need an answer. You just need an answer. I mean, I don't know that you can drag this another week. This becomes just this all-encompassing thing. Does it become a distraction inside your building? You've got coaches that probably they're going home to wives and children going, where are we going to be next year? Are we going to still be here? This becomes a thing. You're trying to raise NIL money. The portal opens here soon. You're trying to figure out, hey, if he's leaving, who are we hiring in the same market as, Auburn is down the road on a coach, and Virginia Tech just hired a coach, and Penn State's hiring a coach, and LSU and Florida and Arkansas. And, you got to get moving. You got to be real. And so, yeah, I would think that, it's the fact that anybody who goes, hey, there's nothing to this. Well, there was a lot of that last week, people spinning it. And you're like, come on. And then on Sunday, they visit Gainesville, and today they've got family, touring Baton Rouge. And does that mean that he's taking those jobs? No. Does it mean that he's seriously considering those opportunities? Absolutely. So, yeah, it's going to force this to come to a head, I think. Now, I don't have that ironed down as a reporter where I could just go, yes, this is going to happen in the next 2-3 days or whatnot, but common sense would tell you that Ole Miss doesn't want this stretching into next week. They've got to make a move, and they've got to get ready for that move. And, it's a big game next Friday. They want to win it. It's a rivalry game. Obviously, if they win it, at worst, they're hosting a playoff game. There's money involved in that. Yeah, they can't afford a bunch of distractions, and and these players deserve an opportunity to play distraction free if possible.
All right, last thing for you. If Lane Kiffin does decide to leave, how would you weigh the decision between LSU and Florida?
I don't really know. I'll give you my gut feeling just from kind of talking to some people. I think family would probably lean Florida a little bit because it's more familiar. He's a water person. He would have much faster access to, the Gulf and the Atlantic and that kind of thing. I believe, and this is pretty sourced, I believe that the people around him, the business people, the football people, would tell him, hey, if you're going to do this, if you're going to leave Ole Miss right before a playoff run and take the heat that you're taking, you should take the LSU job. It's a better football job. And look, this is just my opinion. You didn't ask for it. If he leaves for Florida, I don't understand it. I don't think you're leaving for that great of a job. In fact, I think you're leaving for a train wreck of a job where the only two people that have really won are people who won everywhere. No offense to Les Miles or to Ed Orgeron. I don't think anyone would ever put them in the same caliber of coach as Urban Meyer and Steve Spurrier. They won national titles at LSU. They put together incredibly talented rosters at LSU. I don't know that you can say the same for Florida. Florida in the last 5 years has won, I think, if I'm doing my math right, 29 games. Something's up at Florida, and you can sell Steve Spurrier and the Swamp and all that stuff. Man, that was a long time ago. This is a new era, and Florida does not appear to have any clue as to how to manage this era. Kiffin does, but how much of the credit is Kiffin's? How much of the credit is Ole Miss's? I think people make a mistake and I think Lane's terrific, man. He's a great coach, brilliant coach, done a great, phenomenal job at Ole Miss. But I do think if you're doing the thing at Ole Miss, you have to also point out that from the first moment of NIL with Walker Jones, their collective guy, Keith Carter, the AD, Glenn Boyce, the chancellor, they have marched in total lockstep. He has had so much synergy here. And I think that's part of the equation as well. So, wherever he decides to go, he has really benefited from synergy here if he decides to go. And I think that's something that he's got to weigh. And I don't know the answer on who has more program synergy, LSU or Florida. I would guess LSU, and I would guess LSU could put it together much faster than Florida could. But look, I'm not an expert on either of those programs. I'm not smart enough to know the ins and outs of every program.
Well, it's great insight. At Neal McCready, if you want to go give him a follow, Rebels 247, and of course the podcast as well. I mean, it's like I said, if you're an LSU fan, it's a pretty good time to familiarize yourself with what Neal's doing if you haven't already. Okay, man, I know it's a busy time. Thank you for squeezing us in.
Yeah, buddy. Always good to talk to you. Hope you're well.
You as well. Thanks, man. We'll see you. All right, let me knock out a quick break. We'll come back and react. It's AFR presented by Relief Windows.
AFR.
Well, someone who may have a hand in who the next coach at LSU is. Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McCurdy, Injury Attorneys. You've been injured in an accident. It's not your fault. Do what injured people in our state have done for 3 decades. Get Gordon and get it done. Of course, Gordon's been a great supporter of Tiger Athletics for really his whole life. Great tradition there. We know his son, John Gordon, of course, was a walk-on quarterback at LSU. And Gordon's a familiar face courtside at basketball games and all over Tiger Athletics. And, of course, through the G team, benefiting the collective in many different ways that Gordon gives back. But it's not just through LSU Athletics. It's so many ways that Gordon gives back to the communities that he serves. Right now, the bicycle giveaway, the entrants are going on. Go to @GetGordon on any of the social media platforms. You can find out how you can win one of 600 bicycles this Christmas for a less fortunate child in our state. GetGordon.com. Get Gordon and get it done.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and we do shutters too.
I'm going to answer a handful of questions you all sent via the text line in just a second. Let me remind you, though, over at Parish Construction and Roofing, we've got about a week left to enter. We're doing something called the 12 Days of Christmas. This is not roof-related. You don't have to sign up for an inspection or anything. We just thought, let's find a way to bless a dozen families here during the Christmas season. So this is how it works. At Parish Construction and Roofing, we're putting up $1,000 for each winner. Our friends over at Duplessis Builders are matching that, putting up $1,000. So each family that's chosen will get $2,000. Ruckus has committed to giving shoes for each member of the family. And then Chris's Specialty Foods has committed to providing Christmas dinner for all 12 of the families. So if you know of a family that could maybe use a little brighter Christmas, a little help this Christmas, we'd love to help. All you have to do is go to parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com. At the top of the homepage, you'll see there's a banner where you can enter for the 12 days of Christmas. And there's just a form to fill out there. And we'll go over the nominees, and we'll pick 12 winners, and we'll announce and hopefully make Christmas brighter for our 12 needy families in our area. So we're excited to be able to do that. Parish Construction and Roofing, thanks to Duplessis Builders, Derek Duplessis, just awesome people. Tressie and our great friends over at Chris's Specialty Foods, and then Ronnie Paul and Jalen and the whole crew over at Ruckus for stepping up. Great partners, just looking to make Christmas a little brighter for a dozen families in our area this Christmas season. Go to parishbuilt.com. You hit the 12 Days of Christmas banner at the top of the page to enter. Okay, The Kiffin story has dominated the day. Before we get to Otterlocks, let me answer some of these questions, which are good questions that a lot of you have gotten in. Matthew Johnson said, Matt, in your opinion, would Kiffin be a good fit for LSU? Would he get LSU back into the playoff? What type of money would it take? Well, in the past couple of weeks, I've gone over the money with you. Whoever hires Lane Kiffin, or if he stays at Ole Miss, he's going to become the highest paid coach in the country. Kirby's at 13.3. The reports are that Ole Miss is offering 13.5. LSU, Florida would most certainly get to 14 a year. So Lane Kiffin would be the highest paid coach in the country. And I think LSU would do around a 6-year deal. $84 million, not something new. I've talked about this now for a couple of weeks. And they would make that work. Would it be a fit for LSU? Absolutely. He'd recruit great talent. He's obviously got the Portal King monitor. He's done exceptionally well there. You give him all the resources. The one thing that I worry about with Kiffin is he's not the guy that's necessarily going to go glad hand. He's not going to go shake boosters' hands. He's not going to work the room. That's not who Lane Kiffin is. But it doesn't matter if you win. If you don't win, that's when that becomes problematic. So he'd have to win. Merrick said, why would you leave the team with a chance to win a natty? Because I don't believe he thinks he can win a natty. And making the playoff is an amazing accomplishment. LSU hasn't done it yet. But making a 12-team playoff doesn't mean you're going to win a national championship. I think you also look at sustainability. Like, do you feel like there's a lower ceiling at Ole Miss, whereas someone else with more resources, you could sustain it long term? I think that's a very real point of this. Mike LeBlanc said, Matt, if Kiffin doesn't go through with LSU, who would be the next target? And Mike, I'm going to tell you, it's a great question. And that's a question that I have asked literally everyone I know. When I mean folks in the agent world, LSU boosters, LSU administrators, I mean the people who would actually have a sense of what the target is and who would be next. I've said from the beginning of this that it's clear to me LSU's top target is Lane Kiffin. You're all seeing that now. Whether you wanted to believe me before or not is up to you, but there should be no mistaking now. I've also been clear that doesn't mean Lane Kiffin's coming to LSU. It doesn't mean he's going to pick LSU. He may choose to stay at Ole Miss. He may pick Florida. I don't know how many more times I can say that. Like, he has 3 really good options. LSU's one of those options. He may not pick LSU. But I don't know what LSU's next option is if it's not Lane Kiffin. I've heard all the names you've all heard and said. I've heard Kenny Dillingham and Clark Lee and Eli Drinkwitz and John Sumrall and all the names, Joe Brady. I mean, all the names you've all heard and said and talked about. But who's the next one on the list? I do not have the answer to that. That becomes a very interesting part of this. But inadvertently, Ole Miss giving Lane Kiffin this ultimatum if the Stuart Mandel report is accurate, which I have no reason to believe it's not. I mean, you just heard Neal McCready say it. He didn't necessarily put a date to it, but he wouldn't use the term ultimatum, but that they're pressuring, Ole Miss pressuring Kiffin to make a decision. I think everybody's heard that, and they have to have an answer because they need to know about hiring their next coach and their next roster. I mean, they need an answer. They can't drag this out. You want to go through 2 more weeks of this? Like, think about how uncomfortable the press conference was Saturday. Imagine what it's like now. And, I mean, Lane Kiffin's going to go through 2 more weeks of this? I can't imagine that. So, they'll make a decision, and that'll allow Ole Miss to move on with or without Kiffin. And then for LSU and Florida to know what that decision is, and they can either have their guy or move on their search to have their person in place by the time LSU finishes that game. This much should be clear at this point, right? Whenever LSU finishes that game against Oklahoma, that next day, that's Sunday or Monday, LSU should have a coach in place. Like, that much with this becomes clear, because I don't know who else you'd be waiting on that would go beyond that point, if that makes sense. So some more steps toward finality. We'll see what today brings. All right, it's after further review. Jimmy will be here for Otter Locks to wrap up the show. We're brought to you by Shaw Bills Tire and Auto Service, ShawBillsTire.com, with locations all over South Louisiana. Thanksgiving is a week from Thursday. If you're hitting the road and you need tires before you hit the road to keep your family safe, to make sure you travel safely, go to Shaw Bills. Maybe you don't need tires. Maybe you need the tires rotated. Maybe you need an oil change. Maybe the brakes are squeaking. You just want to make sure that your vehicle needs that tune-up. Check engine lights on. They can help you out over at Shaw Bills with locations all over South Louisiana. Schedule your service online at ShawBillsTire.com, ShawBillsTire.com. Shop tires online. Remember the Charlie's Dozen, a dozen benefits extended to every vehicle in your family when you buy tires at Shaw Bills. That includes the price match guarantee. Buy tires at Shaw Bills. See those tires advertised cheaper somewhere else. They'll refund you 125% of the difference. You're just going to get the best price on the best tires, and they're going to treat you like family at Shaw Bills. Shaw Bills Tire and Auto Service. ShawBillsTire.com. Shaw Bills, where we keep you rolling. Okay, Jimmy's here for Otter Locks to wrap up the show next. Monday Night Football. Let's see what else the Otter has. We'll find out when he gets here. All right, it's AFR.
AFR.
We're moving toward the end of the year. A lot of business owners right now, you know that you're budgeting for 2026 if you haven't already gone through the budgeting process. Remember, our friends over at Glow Resources can help if part of your budgeting process and part of 2026 is finding the right people to make your business more efficient. You want to find the right people, put them in the right positions within your organization to make your organization the most profitable it can be, the most efficient it can be. Glow Resources can help. Remember, these are permanent solutions. This is not temp staffing. If you need any skilled blue-collar labor, crane operators, welders, pipe fitters, maybe you need any professional, any office job, their professional placement division can help over at Glow Resources. Office assistant to the C-suite and everything in between. It's Glow Resources. GLO, glowresources.com. They're right here in Baton Rouge, but they serve companies all over the world. Check them out online. It's glowresources.com.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and we do shutters too.
Down the stretch we come. Final segment here on a Monday edition of AFR presented by Relief Windows. One thing left to do, find out what we're betting on tonight. Time for Otter Locks.
Otter Locks.
All right, time to win some money.
Presented by Total Maintenance AC Repair. Same-day service means you will never sleep hot. 480-1000. We are Total Maintenance.
I think it's safe to say that I won the bet.
Otter, how are you?
Doing great. You? How about you, buddy?
Busy day, man. But yeah, freaking fired up. Yeah. Beats having nothing to talk about, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
you know, Rohan Davies over here right now, and he's visiting. And I asked him. I said, "Bro, if they ask the Ole Miss players, they said, look, coach is leaving. You got let's vote whether or not he gets to coach you in a playoff." I said, "What would they do?" He said, "Shoot, they would want him to coach."
Yeah, they want to win.
You know. Yeah. He gives it the best chance at winning. And there's no doubt about that. I mean, he's pretty involved in game management.
No doubt.
I would say he went for it on fourth down 7 times Saturday night. So, So it's this thing has been brewing, and we'll see. We'll see what he does. But I think Ole Miss's pressure that they're applying on him right now will speed things up. I heard your conversation with McCready earlier.
Yeah.
Really, really good perspective by him. I thought it was really well done. So good job there.
Thanks, Otter. Thank you. I appreciate that.
I don't know.
What do we?
Charlie and I last Wednesday, we were at Sammy's Grill on Highland Road, and I said, "Charlie, yes or no?" I like to push him in the corner. So Charlie, Lane Kiffin is going to be at Ole Miss next year. I said, "Yes or no?" He said, "No." I said, "No." So
I would say no. For sure.
Keep in mind Layla's dad, John Reeves, that I mentioned before.
Yeah.
Not only is she an alum, her dad was an All-American quarterback and assistant coach at Florida.
Yeah.
So there's some strong, football ties to that school as well. And her brother coached for Lane briefly in Knoxville at Tennessee. So, So anyway, there you go. We'll see.
Yeah.
There's some ties in Florida. LSU, I think, is going to throw out a better offer. So. we'll see what wins out. So
all right, what we got tonight, man?
All right, Dallas is what this is. It's collectively their heyday. They're only 50 years removed from their prime. So too bad we couldn't have this Monday Night Football game. They never played in the Super Bowl. Raiders from the AFC, Dallas from the NFC. They're all over the Super Bowls, but never played against each other. But anyway, 1
minute remaining.
Dallas, with their struggles, is a public team. They are betting Dallas like this game is over. Crazy. It's 3.5. Wait, be patient. Chalk early, dogs late. So wait, because I think this thing is real close to going to 4.
Okay.
So we're going to be on the house's side tonight for this one. And my friends in Las Vegas said they have been overrun with Dallas fans who are betting with both hands on their favorite team as well. So we're going to be on the house's side tonight. Take the home dog, the Raiders, plus 3.5. Hope to get 4 before kickoff.
All right, we'll keep an eye on it. Where are you tomorrow?
We are at Mike Anderson Seafood on Nicholson, just off of Nicholson on Lee.
All right, man. We'll talk tomorrow. Thank you, Otter.
All right, good luck.
All right, thanks, man. Same to you. Have a great night. All right, that's going to do it for us. If you missed anything, AFR On Demand presented by Breck Golf, podcast or YouTube. Just search AFR LSU or AFR Saints, or after further review, you'll find it all right there. All right, Muse, Paulie, thank you all. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow at 3.
After further review.
As we get on down the road, let me remind you about Parish Restoration, parishrestoration.com. Kill mold, remove odor. It's parishrestoration.com, where you can go to get that, sign up to get that estimate. If you have mold, think you might, maybe you got odor, or let's call it what it is, man. We're into mid-November. A lot of the gunk going around, maybe sickness, illness, whatever. Remember, this patented non-toxic dry fog treatment will kill dozens of harmful pathogens. So someone's sick, sickness going around the office, the school, the locker room, the gym, whatever. You want to sanitize the whole place? Easy. Call Parish Restoration. They'll come in, spray their patented non-toxic dry fog. They'll close up the windows and the doors, let the fog dwell. As soon as it dissipates, you're back in free, clear, clean, sanitized, smelling great. It's Parish Restoration. Don't waste time with other remediation companies. Go to parishrestoration.com, parishrestoration.com, parishrestoration.com.